Hello there, everyone. Patricia Hayes here with today's Coffee Time Career Chat. So excited to be with you again today. It's also Networking Wednesday. Hello to my advancers and networking group friends. But just before we jump in here, if this is the first time you're joining, again, my name is Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And what that means is I help people, especially professional women, to up-level themselves, to prepare them to get to the next level in their careers by helping them to set clear boundaries, give off and prepare for an executive presence that they need, and to make sure they have the relationships in place that they need professionally in order to succeed for the long term. So that said, we are doing a series now about self-advocacy. It's actually called Self-Advocacy, Bravery, and Courage. And it's just amazing how this topic comes. I've been getting chills thinking about it because last week I sat in on the most fabulous 2-day virtual retreat hosted by Kelly Ruda, and it was talking about Build Your Brave. And oh my gosh, the timing could not have been better. And what is hilarious about this is that I already had this theme set before that retreat. So this theme had been set for a couple of weeks prior to that. And now it's just building on all of those wonderful nuggets that I gained and experienced from that retreat. So I'm super excited about this series. This second part of this series is actually going to be a two-parter. So today we're talking about speaking up for you, and I labeled it part 1 because we're going to continue this conversation next week. And this is something that's super important that's come up many, many times over the course of my life and my career. And it's those powerful moments that resonate and remind me that when no one else speaks up for you or is willing to, you have to be willing to speak up for yourself, right? And this is not some huge, like, you got to put your armor on because now you're going to battle moments. Sometimes it's just the simple moments in a meeting where someone bypasses you and you have to say, excuse me, I believe it was my turn next. Being an advocate for yourself can truly be that simple. But unfortunately, many people don't feel they have that skill. They don't feel that they have the ability. They don't have the confidence to do that. And that is something, particularly as professional women, that we have to, I won't say get over, but we have to grow and be willing to be uncomfortable in the process and to literally, as Kelly would say, build your brave along the way so that you can get to where you need to be personally and professionally, by knowing that if should something come up, you're able to speak up on your own behalf and to do so with confidence and to do it scared if necessary. Okay? So I have one of my favorite young Patricia stories to tell. And it's the one that I tell probably the most often from law school, where I had to speak up for myself. And I look back on it all these years later and I'm like, oh my God, that was crazy. I can't believe I did that. But in the moment, it was appropriate. And I said it and I did it scared. And I'll tell you the reason why after I tell the story. So here's the story. First year of law school did not go well for me, right? It had been a struggle. It was extremely challenging. I loved it. It's what I'd always wanted to do, but academically, it was one of the most challenging moments in my life. And I got to this point where coming back for second year, I came back. I'll be honest, I was on probation because my grades were borderline. And I was just frightened out of my brain because I was just like, I cannot fail at this. This is what I've always wanted to do. How can this be? And so one of the things, anyone who knows me knows I love giving back. I love being a part of things. I'm not Miss Social Butterfly by any means, but I'm really big on leadership and being involved in your community and being a part. So that said, I had gained a role as the leader for the Black student for the Black student group on campus. I can't remember the exact name of it now, but I had accepted that responsibility leading into my second year of law school. There are 3 years. And I was super excited about it. Like, those are things that really give life for me and help me to push past the next thing, because I know that I can give back in this other way. And I got called into the Dean of Students office. I will never forget it. I can see his face. And basically, the conversation went like this: Patricia, you're valuable to us. We really want you to see you succeed, yada, yada. And so we believe that it's in your best interest that you step down from these other roles, so that you can focus on your grades and focus on getting things better. So very politely, they were saying, like, you can't do this stuff while you're having to get through these situations here. So you're going to have to step away. And I remember being really upset and really scared, because remember, I just said those things are the lifeline. They give me life. And I said these words to the Dean of Students, which is, respectfully, Dean, it's your job to tell me what I can't do, but it's my job to tell you what I can. And there was this moment of silence. And I honestly don't remember what happened after that. I remember saying, that's fine, I'll step aside. Granted, to wrap up the story, I pulled things out, it all worked out, and I stepped back into my leadership position for the spring. But it was that moment of sitting there, having someone tell you what you're not capable of doing, and being told that. And in the moment, my natural response was to tell you, you're doing your job. I honor and respect that. But let me tell you, I have to do mine. And that is, I have to tell you what I am capable of doing and what I know. And that story has stuck with me all these years, because there are moments even to this day where I'm like, I don't know what's going on. People are telling me, you can't do this. Why are you doing that? Not getting support for major projects or the next step, and feeling very isolated and alone. But it's when those moments, when you're hearing that negativity, when you're lacking that support, that you have to recognize and say to yourself, and sometimes to others, you can say what you think you know about me and what I can't do, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you what I can. And that is how I realized I live my life. You've heard the saying, I can show you better than I can tell you. That's the point I got to. So I went from telling people to showing people. That's fine. I can show you better than I can tell you, and letting my actions speak. And here are a couple of the key things that I love the key points I take from that story, even to this day. Number one, you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. And that's in spite of anything that's going on around, no matter how dim situation looks, or even let's say it's the flip. It's something that's super exciting and super wonderful, and people are doubting, or someone saying, are you sure about that? That looks a little crazy. But you have to know yourself and speak up for yourself. It's like, yeah, that looks really nuts, and I'm here for all of it, right? Know yourself, okay? Be willing to speak up for her, and to accept that everybody's not going to be there. That's sometimes the toughest piece of it. Everybody's not going to be there. Everyone's not going to believe the words that come out of your mouth. They're not going to believe your actions, even that, right? So it's not your job to convince them, okay? But it is your job to mind yourself. And we'll talk about boundaries in just a second. Don't let others make assumptions about who you are and what you are capable of. I need this sign on my walls. I do not know why I have not made a sign to go on my walls that say that, but I know that I need one of those. You cannot allow others to make assumptions about you and what you are capable of doing. And those are the things you have to kind of nip in the bud, right? Again, it's not for you to own what their thoughts or perceptions are, but it is for you to own and be able to step up and say, yes, unfortunately, that's not true. And that may be that you don't owe people an explanation, but just saying, no, that's not the case can be enough. Okay, so those are some of the key tips I learned from my young Patricia, mouthing off to the dean of students. Oh my gosh, it still cracks me up to this day. So there's that piece. The next piece is when you're speaking up, remember that speaking up for yourself is an act of bravery, because you are at a point at that moment that you go to speak up for yourself, you're setting boundaries. You're setting clear boundaries about what is acceptable or is not acceptable to you and what you will or will not tolerate. Okay. And when you set those clear boundaries around how you will be defined and received, again, recognize you can't control others' perceptions or what they're going to say or what they're going to do. It's really none of your business. This is one of the pieces that was the most difficult probably over the course of my career to learn. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't have to care about what someone else thinks. Okay. And we're taught that. It's like, oh, do this to accept. But, that's not to say you don't take in constructive criticism, constructive insight, right? Especially if it's something you requested or asked for. But if you're getting opinions and input and you didn't even ask for it, you can take it or leave it. And you don't have to allow that to define who you are or what your next step is going to be. I know that in very recently, I've had several situations where I had to set some boundaries. I was very surprised about having to set some participation, some things that I was doing. And I realized, I'm like, this doesn't set well with me. Like, this is not acceptable. So for me, it's not about what the other person, how they're going to respond. It's, no, what are you going to do if you don't feel that this is acceptable to you? What are you going to do? What am I going to do? Because I'm the only person I have control over. And so when you set those boundaries, it is not easy. It is not pleasant, but it clearly lays out where your lines are and lets people know when they cross them. And that is an extreme act of bravery that many people are not willing or able to do. So you have to look at and think about in your life, where are those moments where you needed to step up and set a boundary? Family members, friends, professional people, colleagues that you work with. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter who. What matters is you need to know and be able to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, to acknowledge where something has crossed the lines of what you consider ethical, moral, with integrity, whatever your core values are. If someone crosses the line on what you think is acceptable for that, you have to be willing to step up and say that, because here's the consequence if you do not. If you do not, then that is a silent acceptance of the behavior, the action, the attitude, whatever. And then they will move forward as if it's okay and continue along that way. And now that puts you in the position of having to address it the next time it happens, whether you're going to do it or not, and then causing some confusion because you're like, well, I did this already. What's the problem now? That does not mean you don't do it. It just means it may be a little bit tougher. Okay. but being willing and able to step into that, get the support you need, whether it's a mentor, it's a coach, it's someone that you go bounce some ideas off of to say, hey, I'm having this issue and I think I'm going to have to take this action. I'd love to get your input on it. That's acceptable. That's a request for help, right? Sometimes when you need to help yourself, part of helping yourself is asking for help as you make some decisions that are important to you. And the final thing that we've said a number of times already, but it's got to be said yet again, which is that everyone will not like it when you step up and speak up for yourself, when you are an advocate for who you are, what you believe in. And guess what? Do it anyway. It's okay. You don't always have to agree. People don't always have to like what it is that you do. And how they respond to it is their business. And it's unfortunate when people think that it's okay to, mess all over people because they don't agree with them. And that's unfortunate because guess what? We can be grown up and be adults. Almost slipped. Yeah. We can be grown ups and be adults about respectfully disagreeing. About acknowledging that we disagree on something and moving past it. But sometimes people aren't able to do that. And guess what? It's okay. You don't have to own that. You don't have to fret about that. This is not a popularity contest. You engaging in your life and how you want to move forward and how you want to be respected in the workplace is not about popularity. It's about integrity. It's about respect. It's about being a leader. And leaders, I just spoke on this last night to a group of young girls. Leadership is tough because sometimes you have to make difficult decisions. Sometimes you have to make decisions that people don't like, that's not popular. But it's not about being popular. It's about doing what's right. It's about having that respect and having that level of influence to help people move forward with their goals and their dreams in a way that that is sustainable, that's trustworthy. Okay, when you're not standing up for yourself and you're not speaking up for yourself or being an advocate for yourself in different aspects of your life, like we get that kind of feeling, there's a reason for that because you're not being true to who you are. And so we don't have to go throw down the gauntlet and have this big, huge show of it. It could be a simple thing of saying, no, I don't think I agree with that. It could be that simple. And then see if you can host a conversation, if you can hold a conversation about it and move forward. If it's something that's worth having a conversation about. If it's not, just standing still and saying, no, I don't agree with that. May be enough. Okay. Should be enough for you. And I encourage each of you to kind of sit with this, to think about it. I do this regularly. Sometimes it's instigated by a situation. I've had several of those recently where I'm like, whoa, what was that all about? And realizing I'm like, okay, I'm resetting some boundaries. I'm needing to speak up for myself in ways that I hadn't thought about or that I thought were clear. So sometimes it's about what it is we're doing to add to a situation and what we can be doing better to make sure that it's not repeated or that it's clear the next time it happens, whatever. Okay? So take that time. Do the reflection, do the work, take a few moments out of your day, out of your week, and think about where you are being a strong advocate for yourself and give yourself that pat on the back. We do not celebrate ourselves as often as we should. And then look at those areas where perhaps you're not. And this is not where you should go beat yourself up about it, but go explore why you're not. And give a little more thought to that and how that can be correct it, how you can make that better so that the next time a situation arises, you're able to deal with it quickly and effectively in the way that you want to be seen and heard. Okay? That is it for today. I hope that's helpful. I know that sometimes it seems like, what does this have to do with our professional careers? It has everything to do with it. There are way too many opportunities and too many times in my career where I had to make that choice about whether I speak up for myself or whether I do not, and how you do it. Okay, so we'll continue this conversation next week. We'll continue talking about speaking up for you and the self-advocacy and bravery and courage of it all. If you have any questions, comments, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you're thinking. And if you want to, jump on a consultation call, we can do that as well. Just hit me up in the DMs and I'm happy to send you a scheduling link so we can chat. Take care, everyone, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.